Hi, everybody. Patricia Powell. I'm coming to you from Pomo Land in Mendocino County in California. And today is the last of our series. What a journey we've been on together. Thank you for all of you for being here. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, faculty. Thank you, Ada and Haruna. Thanks to all of you for coming back again and again and again on this ride. So today there are a few things. I want to start off with introducing you to Harriet Tubman, whose life is so wonderfully inspiring to me. I have claimed her as an ancestor. I don't know if you can do that, but I have claimed her as an ancestor. And Harriet Tubman was born into slavery in Dorchester County, Maryland. And in her 20s, she escaped and walked 100 miles to Pennsylvania, where she became a member of the Underground Railroad. And the Underground Railroad was a network of African American as well as white people. And it offered shelter and aid to escaped slaves from the South. And it operated from the late 18th century to the Civil War. The Quakers are considered the first organized group to actively help escaped slaves. It was said that George Washington complained that the Quakers had attempted to liberate some of his slaves. The African Methodist Episcopal Church was another proactive religious group helping fugitive slaves. So networks and routes were set up in just about every state, all the way to Canada. In the Deep South, the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793 made capturing escaped slaves a very lucrative business. So people known as conductors guided the fugitive slaves. And hiding places included private homes and churches and schoolhouses. And these were called stations or safe houses or depots. And the people operating them were called station masters. And Canada offered Blacks the freedom to live where they wanted, to sit on juries, to run for public office. And so some Underground Railroad operators based themselves in Canada and worked to help the arriving refugees settle in. So Harriet Tubman was the most famous conductor for the Underground Railroad. And after she escaped to Pennsylvania, she returned to Maryland 13 times to rescue approximately 70 slaves. And she brought them to freedom in Canada, even though there was a bounty on her head. And later on, she joined the Union Army and became the first woman to lead a military operation of 150 men ready for battle. She was also a women's suffrage supporter. Last year, 2019, the movie Harriet was made, and inspired by Harriet's life, the lead actress who played Harriet, a Black British woman named Cynthia Erivo, wrote this song in honor of Harriet Tubman's life. And the song is called Stand Up, and the video includes scenes from the film. So in honor of Harriet Tubman, I want to play this song called Stand Up. So Randall, could you play for us, please? Thank you.
Where is she? Come on back, peaceful. Whoa, easy now.
I'm gonna be free, oh God. I've been walking with my faith face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
You have made it 100 miles to freedom. Would you like to pick a new name to mark your freedom?
Phantom. Early in the morning, before the sun begins to shine, we're gonna start moving towards that separating line. I'm wading through muddy water. You know I gotta make up mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. You hear freedom calling, calling me to answer. Gonna keep on keeping on.
Harriet, welcome to the Underground Railroad.
And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I'll try. Shine stars will stand up.
So that was one of the last things she said in the film, at least, when she's dying. I go to prepare a place for you. So today, we're going to start off with Ada. Ada will open the session for us today, and then I will pose a series of questions to you all. We have been through so much. You have been so patiently listening, and so here's your chance to process and think through and make sense of what these last weeks have been for you. And Haruna will also join us with questions. After the questions, we'll invite Lisa, the head of the school, and the faculty to reflect as well. And then we will do a little ceremony that will close us out. And Ada will also lead us in prayer at the end. Before we begin, Jonathan has an announcement.
Yeah, hello. So as a part of continuing the conversation and bringing this towards integration for now, we're going to be asking you to respond to a questionnaire, and it's going to follow some of the questions you'll be exploring today in the call, and that will help us to further understand, what's moving in the community, what's moving in all of your hearts and minds, and how to shape our work going forward. So that's it. I'll be putting a link into chat at the end of the call today, and it will also be emailed out to you, and I'll probably post it in the Facebook group to the Barbara Brennan community Facebook group. That's all. And we really just want to hear from you and be able to do deep listening. Not everybody can share, today maybe. And so we want to hear from the quiet ones. Always want to hear from the quiet ones. So that's it.
Thank you. And Randall, you'll be operating the calls for us. I think that you will lift your hands, right? You'll raise your hands, and then Randall,
right. The electronic
will call electronic hands, and Randall
right.
will call me. So thank you, Randall, for playing that for us too. Okay, so Ada, thank you for offering to sort of open this moment for us. The theme for today's event is, where do we go from here? Visioning possibilities, taking action.
We can't hear you yet.
Ada, you're on mute.
Okay, here I am. So thank you, everyone. Thank all of you for whoever is here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your input all week. All these different sessions we've had. And I just want to say, I appreciate you. I appreciate the opportunity. And today, I just want to talk about the people that are here. Some of them have been here every session, I'm sure. Some of them have been here some of the sessions, and there may be someone here this is their first time here. But it does not matter. I'm sure that we all have had some trying times, some frustration, some anger, just all kind of emotions stirred up in our consciousness, because this is not something that's easy, and it's not something that's going to change overnight. And I hear individuals say, I want to correct or do something with my white privilege. There's nothing you can do with it other than utilize it. So we've gone through many speakers that have given us information, and that information is something that each one of us can utilize to make the changes within ourselves. Making changes in ourselves sometimes is the hardest thing that we ever have to do, because we can look out at someone else and think they should be making changes. But I invite all of us to take what we've learned and bring it inside. Things that has taken place has changed you. You're not the same people that were here the very first time. Even though we may want to be, the only thing constant is change. So things have been changing for each one of us. How do we take this information that we've got and utilize it? How do we take it and decide on how we use it? Because you see, some of the people that are here for a different purpose, everybody. Some people are here because they're curious. They want to know what's going on, why, what are these people about? But then there are those that are here because they are trying to learn. But sometimes when learning takes place for some people, they are looking for it in a book. So they're still looking for it. So my suggestion for those people is that get out of the book and get in relationship. Find some people. There are plenty of people of color. Approach some of these people and begin to learn and feel and enjoy being with them and their history, because it's different from yours. But that history is what you need to analyze and compare where you are. So that is one of the things we can do for ourselves. And when we do it for ourselves, we bring about a change in relationships. Relationship with whom? With ourselves. Because everybody innately want to be good. But some people are not ready yet. And we all have to know that everybody's not going to be ready at the same time. The people that are curious gonna still be curious until whatever they need to send them on. So the people that are here because they feel the need to be a part of the solution are the people that can jump on board right now and make a difference. So as you contemplate how this is going to impact you, what do I do with this information? How do I take this information, this teaching, and cause action to take place? That is something that each person has to know for themselves. In order to have a highly diverse situation, everybody is going to have to look at what they believe and what they really want to happen. Because sometimes we think we want things to happen, but we're not ready to change anything in ourselves. So the thing that we have to do to go forward, we got to change ourselves, because we cannot hold or change anyone else unless we change ourselves. There are wonderful teachers here that have skills, and the more we study and work with ourselves, the more we can utilize those skills for all the people. For me, inside of us, we have to look at ourselves and be willing to change. Be willing to have different ideas about who we are and what our responsibility in this earth form, on this earth planet, because we all are here for responsibilities, even when it is a negative responsibility. So we have to decide, do we want to join the side of righteousness? And that will take us to, how do I change? What is next? What's next? What's next for me? And as I looked at all the speakers this week, everything they were talking about was looking at, analyzing what you have, and then once you know what you have, then you can then make the change within yourself, and the change within yourself will draw to you what you need. So in my vision, I see a school that's integrated. I see individuals that's integrated, because we can't have anything integrated and love it until we can integrate ourselves, integrate our thoughts, integrate our thinking. So I'm thinking about other people. Do I wish for them everything I wish for myself and my family? Am I able to do certain things that anybody else can do? So we have to be able to carry what we have started forward, but the carrying forward starts with each one of us. We have to go forward within our own stuff in order to take this school to its next place. I see diversity. I can see teachers that match the students that come into the school. So therefore, everyone got to decide, what do they really want? And doing that, then we know as people where the school is going, because it only goes when the people that's involved in it go. So we are going to be asking people to give input, because if I'm going to change something, I have to know how many players are there and what do the people that's there plan to do, how do they plan to work themselves? Because if you get all these minority students and you have nothing there for them, then they can't stay. It's just the law of average. So I see something for everybody. So with something for everybody, if we move forward in our planning to the next stage, there may be all kind of possibilities, and all the people that's involved may take a piece to take it to the next place. So I will leave you with that, because in those questions that's going to be asked of individuals may formulate the plan that carry you forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Ada.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me okay. My internet is shaky today. Can you?
Sounds good, Patricia.
Okay, great. So, so the first question is, What have you learned about yourself during these last 5 weeks? What have you learned about yourself during these last 5 weeks? And maybe each one of you who would like to share could share maybe a couple things that you've learned. What have you learned about yourself these last 5 weeks?
Are we taking questions already?
Yeah.
All right, then Susan Enderle has her hand up.
Okay, thanks. As soon as this course was offered, I knew I needed to attend it, but it's been really, really hard. And at first I was so struck by how much shame that I had that there was so much going on, and I was so comfortable keeping everything on a surface level. Like, if I'm polite and respectful, that's enough. And I was really comfortable there. And, you know, I still have a lot of shame that there could be so much more. And I elected not to look at it. And now it's like an awakening. But also, since I've been taking the class, I've been having a really hard time sleeping. And like at 3 o'clock, I keep waking up and my mind's racing and all of this. And it's just been really hard to sleep. And last week, Patricia had said, well, you might want to be writing about this. So I decided at 3 o'clock, I'm going to start to journal and find out what is waking me up. And I was really surprised to find out how much fear that I have with all of this. I have this fear. I thought I knew the rules in life that would keep me safe. And they were pretty much when Ladine showed what the white culture is a couple of weeks ago, I was like a pig in shit. That made me so happy. These are the rules. And if I live by those rules, then I'm safe. And I don't have a desire to put, like my conscious desire is not to put any other group like Blacks down and to be one less. I just want to be safe. And I hadn't realized that this deep need to be safe has me embracing so much of the white culture, which enables this division to be here, this unjustness. And so I started writing for like 3 o'clock in the morning for a couple of days, and to recognize the deep fear. And now it's getting better because it's not in my unconscious. I didn't realize it, and I can now see that there's so many people who are doing ugly things that, they've got the same fear as me. And that's keeping us stuck. It kept me at that polite level. And my fears come out of my unconsciousness, and now I can deal with it. But I just did not know how afraid I was that the rules that keep me safe are going to go away, and I'm not going to be safe anymore. So thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Who else would like to share? Thank you.
Jennifer?
Hi. I had a lot of the same feelings as Susan. We also had an incident here, not an incident, but a time frame here where we had military police in Boston, armed, only peaceful protests, and all these Humvees and men with rifles, and it's 2.5 blocks from me. I live right in downtown Boston. And so I'm feeling it right now. I think it really gave me a taste of what Black people have to live through every single day. And it was terrifying to me But I'm also finding in me, and as soon as George Floyd was killed, there is this fighter in me that is coming out, and I'm not going to stand for it. And so I contacted people, and a lot of people contacted them. It wasn't just for me, but they're gone. But I really see things that are happening in Portland, and it's very upsetting. And then to think about people who go through this every day. So I'm learning to deal with the fear, and also the fear of changing my safety. But also realizing deeper, there is this part of me that won't stand for status quo. And I can see myself wobble on it. And then I keep reaffirming, no, this is where I feel good. Fighting for Black people, fighting for all of us to be free. So that, for me, is new, to find a little bit of, oh, I've got some strength. That was good too. And to feel good about my decisions. The other thing is, I could see where I wanted, like, you jump in almost too much and you get overwhelmed, and I could see where I had to really pull back and find balance with it all, and a good pace, and what is really going to work for me. How can I personally do this? That's where I am. Thanks.
Maxima?
Thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Hello, thanks. Thanks for letting me talk. I haven't attended to all the meetings on the FU. However, from the beginning, the lesson that began coming up for me was one about mutual vulnerability, mutual pain, and brought to me a memory of something that occurred to me when I came to this country years ago, excuse me, in 1979. About a year later, I attended a community college to obtain a high school diploma. I didn't have an education in high school, so at that time I went to school, and of course at some point there was the social sciences, the history, and all that. And now I find very odd that there was a teacher that was willing and eager to present the history, at least portions of the history of the Black people in the United States. And for the first time, I heard this horrendous story of robbing people from Africa, and the treatment they received, and the pain and the affliction, and the just those lives were not considered as human lives, and were damaged, hurt, distracted, and created this immense difficulty and this the incredible suffering that this group has had. These amazing African American people have suffered. So I had never heard of that. And I was with a group of students that were, of course, younger students who were not really interested in graduating from high school, but they were, just like playing or reading or something. And I was the only adult in that group. And so I just couldn't believe that I was bursting in tears. I was just so touched, so deeply touched with that, learning that history, and hearing of reading of hearing and seeing videos of the horrendous situations and the pain and all that, and I just melted in tears, and looking around, no one else was showing anything or saying anything about this, and I was just like in pain for what I was learning, but also in deep pain for the indifference that I was finding there. It was just the most horrible thing in my life that I heard, and so something in me began to grow about that pain with them. I was also living terrible pains of leaving my country, coming here, being in persecution by people in war, and also pretty hurt, as many of you know, as having come from situations in which my people, my indigenous original people, and particularly in Mexico, and particularly in the coast of the Pacific, we were invaded, we were also enslaved in different ways, but I come from that legacy, that I still carry in me, and I'm still working hard and want to continue wanting more in healing those wounds and that heritage of damage that we carry. So coming here and listening to this, hearing the school, the teachers talk about this, and with seeing the desire to learn, to understand, to change what has not been, bring and fully understood yet. And my heart just has continued opening about that, and as much as I can, as I said, participating and feeling the impact and of seeing this change happening. I see it, I feel it. It's much better than the time when I was introduced to the school. So I see more openness, more desire to know, and that is also a reason for bringing a lot of joy. And so I am in so much gratitude for what is happening in my life with having this contact with the school and seeing this progress happening. I'm also happy to live where I live right now in California, in Berkeley in particularly. I'm part of a school of human development that is also has opened the school to have this learning happen to everybody that is there. And there are groups we have meetings. I attend to 3 of those groups, and it's just bringing a lot of love and hope in my life. And I'm just so proud of the school and the teachers and everybody that is making these efforts and helping me and many others to grow in this love and this oneness, that is possible to have, and when we honor and feel the pain, we are as human beings capable of feel each other in the deepest way possible. And so I think a lot is possible, and I am just so delighted, and I appreciate this opportunity to share a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Would anyone else like to share? I have more questions for you. What have you learned about yourself during these last 5 weeks?
I have my hand up. Is it okay if I talk?
Sure.
I think for me over the last 5 weeks, the words discomfort and stamina come up. And one of the things I've learned, not so much in the last 5 weeks, but throughout the last couple months, is really how I've had this instinct because I'm a queer woman and I've been in male-dominated conservative environments quite a bit. I have this instinct to kind of match and meld and hide. And so as we look at the silence is violence piece and needing to use your voice, it's just been really obvious how I've even hidden from that task within myself because it's that seeking of comfort, you know, seeking of being safe. And so when I think of this process within the school and being able to witness the moments of discomfort, the learning moments for different people, and really being able to sit in the field with that, I think has been really good. And it shows on a level like what we have to do as a school and a student body. And when I think about discomfort too, it's not just in moments of like sharing or learning, but it's also discomfort in who am I choosing to do business with? Who am I choosing to interact with? How am I choosing to be an employee? How am I choosing to be a healer? Who am I entering into those partnerships with? What are their values? You know, it's been super important for me to see Barbara Brennan, School of Healing, make a move to integrate this. And when I think about the stamina and discomfort, you know, this is the first step. So I'm curious, you know, how it gets integrated in the school, you know, how it gets integrated in our educations, how we move forward as a community and as individuals to change the way that we're educating ourselves and others, and where we're willing to be absolutely uncomfortable. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share? Thank you.
I actually would like to share. I'm one of the quiet ones. Anyway, I just wanted to say that out of the 5 weeks that I've been in the series, I am noticing, I've learned that I am part of the system. Even as a person of people of color, I've learned, and I was raised with the white privilege, and just recognizing that is like really mind-blowing and eye-opening, and also painful to see how I've like been blinded by so many issues that I didn't realize that what was happening today in today's society. That's really shocking. And to hear Haruna talk about how he has, how he has to prep his children and how he, in his everyday life, and how to protect himself and his son. And so I really feel called to really change and want to do something. I've been looking at, like I just noticed somebody, Maureen said that she donated her check. And I've been really sitting with that. And I thought, I was looking at all the different organizations to see where I could put my money to help, like Black people, the ones that are more or less unfortunate, or just help bring the consciousness to create more, I don't know, just open other people's eyes and help people. So I also thought about maybe we can create some kind of school collaboration, maybe, I don't know, a group organization to like donate money to like each organization as a whole school. I don't know, because I'm like one small person, so I thought maybe a large group of people could donate to more organizations. So that's my thought. Or maybe doing something a pro bono for the school to bring in, because coming to the school really opened my eyes as well. It helped me find myself. So I know there's lots of people that would want to find themselves, and maybe we can donate money or do a pro bono organization to help a Black person to come to the school or something like that. I don't know, just kind of ideas, throwing it out, and just that's what I feel.
Thank you.
Kathy has her hand up.
Yes, hi. I think what I learned most about myself was when I saw the letter from Patricia, one of my classmates, inviting us to this. I was so excited to be part of it. And at that point, though, I don't think I had any idea what I agreed to for these 6 weeks. And it reminded me of my first week at Brennan back in 2004, when the first experiential, I felt so unsafe. I said, oh no, I'm not safe here, I'm going home. And I saw so clearly in the mirror my soul saying back to me, no, you're not. And it's the same thing I'm feeling now with this. My passion is just, something happened and shifted in me with George Floyd's death, or murder, more accurately said. And being part of this series has shown me how conflicted I am as a white woman, a woman who, just as a woman, was persecuted, was a victim, and as a white person, my ancestors were the perpetrators. And what was shown so clearly to me when Kai showed the picture of that man's back from all his beatings, and he directed us and asked us to look at it, all I kept hearing from the left side of my ancestors, my maternal ancestors, look away, look away. And it was everything I could take to stay focused and to feel, to begin to feel the depth of the pain of humanity as shown by our Black brothers and sisters. So the agreement my soul must have made to bring me to this, and for Patricia to bring us these wonderful speakers and these wonderful awakenings. I am changed. I'll never be the same. And this is and I'm one of those quiet ones. And so for me to speak up to this group, my Brennan family, is my first step out of, oh no, you're not going home. Nothing's ever going to be the same. And so now I need to figure out how I can contribute and then do it. And I live outside of Charleston, South Carolina, where the Mother Emanuel, the Charleston Nine, were murdered by Dylan Roof. And so it's quite an amazing community of how they handled that with such compassion and love for each other and forgiveness. But I want to take that compassion as Resma Menachem, I think that's how you spell his name. He said, take that compassion and bring it into action. It's not a feel-good thing. Compassion has to have action. And so I thank you all for presenting this workshop to me, because I am going to take action, and I know I'm going to make a difference in my community, but first within myself. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Others, what have you learned about yourself during these last few weeks?
This is Jennifer. May I speak, please? But I don't know how to put my hand up. Can you hear me?
You're speaking. We can hear you. We can see you.
Thank you so much. I am one of the outsiders that has been invited here. I'm a deacon in the Episcopal Church, and part of my call is to do social justice, is to teach the church what the needs of the people are. And at the beginning of this series, I was invited and wanted to, just for me, there was healing in this too. But when I came, I was thinking about putting together a resolution, and have since done so as a result of hearing the presentations that you have made. It just has given me the courage and the strength to do what I feel so called to do. I've had sleepless nights, I tell you. So I have put together a resolution for my diocesan convention. I'm from the Episcopal Church. And it's called the Support for the Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Resolution. I don't know if you understand that there has been over 200 attempts to pass this bill that literally puts down lynching, and it's a mob terrorist act that continues today, even in California. There's been 2 in California that we know of within these past 2 or 3 months. And this is scary for me, because I'm originally from South America, but I have Black, brown kids here who live here. And when it really hits you is when your children say to you, Mom, do we need to move to a different country? And you say to yourself, I can't protect them that way, but I have to do something in my own small corner. So this is what I am doing in my small corner. It may not be a lot, but I'm taking this to my convention and saying to them, to the Episcopal Church, you churches, you've looked the other way when we've had slavery. And I'm asking you to support this bill, because it talks about the police not looking the other way as mobs descend upon Black and brown people in order to hang them and to dismember them and all sorts of things. So I am learning, and I'm learning for myself. This puts me in a very vulnerable position, but I'm okay with it, because I'm doing this not only for my children, but for all the Black and brown people in this country and abroad, because it happens in other places. So that's what this training has helped me with, and to help me for the courage to be able to do this. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. Thank you.
Shalamaya has her hand up.
Hello. May I speak?
Of course.
Thank you. So I have been one of the very vocal ones, very loud, very lot to say. And something that came up for me is the profound need to listen. There was a way in which I was not listening to the people in my own home who are Black. There was a way in which I had oppressed myself and was beginning a process of oppressing my daughter. Because when Trayvon Martin was shot and killed, when he was murdered, my daughter was 11 years old, and the police stopped us, and she began to mouth off at this police officer. And I kissed the hell out of that cop's ass to calm him down and calm her down. And when I saw how intense her voice was, I was very scared. And I discovered this past week that I have been taking way too much shit in my personal life. In my personal self, I should say. No one's making me take any shit. That I've been oppressing myself. If I'm okay to oppress myself, I'm gonna be okay with oppression elsewhere. There has been a calling for there to be listening in this body for quite some time that hasn't been heard until now that shit has hit the fan. And my daughter didn't even know the amount of work that I was already doing in the community. That's how much I wasn't communicating and how much I didn't want to, because we do social justice in my home 24/7. And I felt like, damn, my daughter's not gonna have any joy? Like, what's gonna happen? How am I gonna do this? And I've learned that, you know, the true joy is to express who you are, express yourself, and allow no one to block that. And not allow yourself to block that in others either. And I think that that's what a lot of the black leaders that have been with us and have passed on have shown us when they've come forward so boldly. We can't give in to the shutting down of our voices and our presence on the earth. So I had to bring my activism home. And I had to bring it also to myself, where I hadn't been listening to my own self, to my own body, to my own needs. And, you know, this is more of a external sentiment somewhat, but that has been brought home, and that's that, you know, healership without social justice is trash. It's trash. And social justice without healing is also trash. There's got to be a marriage there. At least that's my mission now. More defined mission now. Profound need to listen. That's it.
Thank you.
Josh? Josh, did you want to share?
Okay. I found this series to be profoundly inspiring. When you ask what changed in us or what we learned, is for me through this series and other things I'm involved in, the purpose of my life has really come to crystallize. In the 1990s, I was working with the Palestinian nation in the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and Egypt, and some in the Old Jerusalem. And then when Saddam Hussein declared war on Israel, my funders brought us all back to Canada. And I thought, well, what am I doing now? And I saw this ad for a job by the Arctic Ocean with Indigenous people. And it reminded me of a dream I had before I left Jerusalem. And that was that one day I'd stand on top of the world and I'd look over. And I had no clue what that meant, except that where the position was 100 kilometers south of the Arctic Ocean. So I figured, okay, I'll go there. So I've been there for a number of years and done different things in between. And then during this series, it comes back again to what someone else was saying when Kai showed those photos. Something went, no shit, this is it. Like, don't turn away. It's uncomfortable. I hate looking at it. Don't turn away. And that has been going on and on and on. Don't go, turn away, don't turn away. So I haven't looked away. I've had many sleepless nights, as others have said. I've had lots of time with just tears dropping, no story, just tears dropping. And then all of a sudden, it's like I saw a pancake being flipped. This is really the Barbara Brennan school, but anyway, it was like cooking a pancake and flipping the pancake. And I understood all of a sudden that I was there in terms of my purpose. I know what it is. I'm not naming it right now because it feels like in a sacred coming together place, but I have a clear sense of what it is. And it's like the pancake is flipped and it's cooking and it's ready to be shared and taken in. So that's what I've learned about myself, and I'm hugely grateful for this series.
Thank you.
Sonia.
I actually I didn't mean to put my hand up, but I did, obviously. To speak up, I've been feeling the panic. It's not easy for me to do. And I've made a sharing. Thank you, Shanamaya. I felt like when you spoke earlier, it's kind of, again, that another pull to speak up and support and being held. And I made a sharing earlier on today on the Brennan page of what's been arising for me, which was a huge thing, and a lot has been arising. And I sat from the beginning of this series with looking at where I hold my privilege and looking at my persecutor and focusing. And then all of a sudden, it's been, my processless sessions, I'm just going there, but I'm getting stuck. And then it was looking at actually the elephant in the room for me of something I wasn't owning, which being in the UK is a class thing. It's a money thing. It's a finance thing. It's privilege in that sense. And looking at, that's played out obviously for me with the healing school, with Brennan School, which I was able to attend for a year because of being on the scholarship. And I don't actually really want to talk more about this because this isn't the space for this right here. And I've written a long essay on this subject, but it's kind of bringing the other aspects now of privilege in, and that's what this space has, helped me with, and I'm grateful for that. And I don't know, aside from, I don't know what the next step is. I'm waiting for that to arise, but my sharing was the next step, the sharing I made earlier on today. So thank you to everyone for holding this space.
Thank you.
Lamaya, did you want to share again?
I put my hand up and then I put it back down because I share so much. Well, I'm gonna share this because I want to actually do this for my family. This sharing is for my husband, whom I didn't listen to throughout our marriage. In the beginning, mostly in the beginning and toward the middle. I've been married 16 years. And there was just something that I discovered even today as I was reflecting on everything. And it was just, there was something about listening and really just not talking. And not that I'm listening to words that he was saying from his mouth, but listening to him as he moved about in his energy field and opened himself and unpacked and made decisions and released places, and all because of all the ways in which he holds our family and holds me. And so there was a way where I realized that that was the kind of profound listening that I wasn't doing for him as a man. And I've been listening in all these ways that have been sort of still on the surface. And I don't know why, but I feel like I have to say that. I mean, I have an intuition why, but I feel like I really have to say that. It does, and it's not a matter of being a man or a woman or anything either. It's more a matter of, because we carry masculine and feminine and all the different energies. It's just, how does it want to be unpacked? Not all the listening is about listening to someone speak, I realize, in a more profound way right now. So I just wanted to put that into the body and listen to this body and how that shifts things also. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't tell if there are more hands that are up. One of the other questions that I had is, how do you as a healer, or how will you as a healer counteract racial oppression?
Patricia Howard.
Thanks, Randall. Thank you, everyone. This is a beautiful platform that we've come, and it's been so heart-wrenching at times. And I just wanted to say how we can, sort of looking at the template of what we know, that we've heard that the racism is social and psychological. And I feel that a lot of it is biological, right? It comes down to the genes, and you can see it. I mean, why the alt-right are so afraid of science, because the black gene is the dominant gene, right? So if there's anyone chosen by God, you know, that's your mindset, that the white gene is the recessive gene. So if you look at the blonde, blue eyes, like in the Nazis, it's because we're a recessive group of people who won't survive, kind of like the biology on the earth. And the strongest force is to survive. So I think we've all been different colors, different genders. So when I talk about white male, I don't mean the living men now, but I think there's the terror in the white psyche of being a recessive gene. And that's why white privilege in a first world country, how we live shouldn't be exceptional. You know, and I was trying to think of like a European way of living, and I'm like, wow, what first world country hasn't oppressed another culture? So we don't even know what like a healthy culture is, because all over Europe, they've colonized Africa or Indonesia, they have taken. But I think it's an evolutionary process that we stop separating from each other. You know, and I would just think that equality is like a low bar for the human heart. And Muji says the journey is from the head to the heart. And however long that takes, what Martin Luther King said, to stop identifying people by the color of their skin and more by their character. You know, so this is a journey that we're on. I think it's a horrific journey. But if you look at how, when back in the day, it was no blacks, no Irish, no dogs, you know, and why did the Irish integrate more seamlessly? Because we're also recessive. We don't disturb the pool, right? So if you listen to Charles Barkley talk to one of the alt-right, I forget his name, but he is just spewing this white supremacy. He's not in his body, he's just on autopilot and in this terror, right? And I think that's something that has to be sat with as well, right? And to understand as human evolution, what do we want to see? Like Esther Hicks, that we see a world where pigment isn't a way to distinguish between people. Steve Noble does a lot of meditations, like he's an Englishman, but he prays for America, because in America, the racial progress, I think, is more backward than in Europe, right? And he's trying to clear the astral level of this separation between black and white. And I think every time we say black and every time we say white, we can reinforce that separation on the astral. Right. So it's how do we participate in this human evolution that we just stop separating from people, right? And there was three working class women in Ireland in the 70s decided they wouldn't put the oranges that came from South Africa. they came from apartheid, they wouldn't stock them on the shelves. And that was their action, just as working class women, that they didn't want to support apartheid. Eventually, Nelson Mandela got wind of it and he invited them to his inauguration, right? So it's these little actions of things that we can do. And I think we can all center in our hearts and make it like, just to not separate. And if we do separate, it's an image that we work with. We have all the skills and the tools. And of a school, what vision do we support and what do we hold? So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Julie Murray.
Yes, I am taking in that question of how will you as a healer counteract racial oppression. And I feel like one of the main gifts that I have within me as a result of being part of the Barbara Brennan community is the understanding that our consciousness and Barbara's brilliant diagram in Hands of Light of the cone of perception. Do you all remember that? Coming out from the third eye, a cone. The wider that cone is, the more of reality it takes in. And Barbara's teaching to us in the very beginning was everyone can access these high sense perception gifts because it only involves opening one's consciousness to perceive what's really there. And so in my own experience, any commitment that I hear each of us who is speaking makes to continue to face the pain and not turn away from it, of this reality that's been there in this country for over 400 years, but I've turned away from or only allowed myself to perceive on the edge of that cone of perception. That commitment to tolerate growing in consciousness of the pain and the unjust structures of oppression and power over and use of power based on class and race is the greatest commitment any of us, I think, as healers can make. And as we do that, Spirit will guide us through that incredible process that we open ourselves to at the beginning of any session with a client. And as we sink in to that energetic connection, we will be given the resources, the words to say, the guidance to help that person with whatever they're bringing, to know that whether it's a physical disease process or an emotional place of suffering or anything, whatever they're bringing that leads them to seek healing is always going to be a portal into a greater place of union, nonviolence, and supporting all of life. So I find that question so important, and that's why I did a kind of read back to the person who said, healing without social justice is rubbish, and social justice without healing. It's all one thing. This evolutionary process that the Brennan School has held because of Barbara's great gift as the foundation for the work we're doing. We're not here to just free people from their osteoarthritis. And I could go on, but I am so grateful for this opportunity, and what has changed in me through these 5 weeks is I know I'm not alone. I know I have a ton more to learn, and you all have shown me wonderful resources to use as I move forward and bring my community in Cincinnati forward. And I've seen again, especially in the Black BBSH teachers and graduates who have spoken, the courage and the stability as you all have engaged in leading us in this process. Every one of you has been amazing. And that's been a huge gift for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm wondering if there are any questions that the audience have for us or for the faculty.
I do. This is Marian. I don't even know how to raise my hand anymore. I'm sorry about that. Hi. Oh. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I just wanted to ask to the white faculty, I want to specify, when I read the question you have for us, I can help to have the same for you. Meaning, how do you, as an institution, BBSH school, how do you or how will you counteract racial oppression? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we heard your question.
Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe this is a good time for the faculty to present some of your own reflections around the series. Would this be a good time? Would you like to share?
Yeah, maybe I should go first because
okay, that's great.
A number of questions and of course, you know, how is the school going to move forward with all of this? So I think maybe to just go ahead and address that now. So for those of you that are students, you know that in the HARC dimension, we have a world task and a personal task. And when BBSH was first created, Barbara created for the school, just like we have for ourselves, both a world and a personal task. And this is reflected in our mission statement, which you can review if you'd like in our catalog, which is online. And it's in our mission statement that on a global level, to promote human consciousness and planetary evolution for all. Yet we realize the necessity and the urgency of moving collectively as a school to become anti-racist, as well as to create a more diversified and welcoming environment specifically for Blacks. So for those of you that attend our school as well, you know that the heart and the mind have to work together and then be propelled forward by the will. So from week 2, the school has already begun implementing items that are will items or action items. So one of them is that we're offering a 60% scholarship to all of our Black alumni for ASBIW1, ASBIW2, and teacher training. And in order to support anyone who would like to do that, we will make sure that faculty like Haruna and Ada will guide us and make sure that the Black alumni who participate in that feel welcome, safe, and supported. We're also going to be implementing a review of our curriculum and updating it to make sure that our current teachings, especially like our professional practice and our psych spiritual skills and really everything, to include not only how to be anti-racist, but also, you know, how we work with our own biases and prejudices so that we can hold different cultures, different orientations in a safe container. We'll also be creating some HMDs with the intention to specifically continue healing racial inequities. We're going to be working technologically so that we can get the right equipment. So hopefully we can broadcast that out to students who might not be able to attend this school in person, and also our alumni. We want to make sure that all of our faculty receive mandatory anti-racist training. And now that this series is done, we'll create an anti-racist corporate statement that will be on our website, but just please be patient, as often our web developers, you know, want to do things in groups. And I'm sure there will be much more than we can do, but we want to start here. Some of you may hear this and go, wow, that's really a lot. Some of you may hear it and say, well, that's not enough. So I just know that when I first took over this school, which officially closed in March 31st, 2019, so that's really less than a year ago, I came to realize that work could only be done in phases. It's really easy to generate lots of ideas. It's quick and easy, but having them manifest in physical reality, it takes a lot longer. So some of you may remember that who was there in one of my first openings, that it was that I wanted to recreate the original nonprofit that Barbara had created and then later dissolved. So now less than a year, I'm really happy to say that that's been accomplished. So that is the real reality. We're still in the stages of having the website actually created, and we're using the same name that Barbara used herself, except we've added the word international. So the official name, which is very long, is Barbara Brennan International Center for Research and Healing. Our website URL is going to be bbirh.org. So the mission statement is going to be the same as the school, but we expect our outreach to hopefully be far greater. It's going to be wonderful, I feel, to really expand Barbara's work, who had a lot of the focus on the 7 levels of the energy field, and we'll be taking this further, including transgenerational and the collective healing of humanity. And so I think I just would like to add, I hope this is okay, that the school does have limited resources. We do not have an endowment. We do not receive federal, any kind of federal aid for funding. So all of the items that have been mentioned above are being sponsored by the school. And of course, we do hope that people that have resources, when the time is right, will donate to the nonprofit to continue the work for what, again, what we would like to do for humanity. And as I've prefaced earlier, our mission statement is really for all of humanity. And when the time is right, with the advice of, I'm going to say, our Black elders, then we will move to other cultures and to other colors and to other orientations. So those are all the steps that we've taken as a school, and will hopefully be furthered by the work of the nonprofit. And then I could also add for myself personally that I want to do work in whatever way I can. Many weeks ago, I joined Coming to the Table. There's many organizations whose specific mission is racial equality. I chose Coming to the Table. I was made aware of this organization from Chuck Calandra, which is one of our alumni who has a leadership position in this organization. And that's just one. There's many. Suzanne, that spoke in the second panel, founder of Racial Equity Institute, Ladine, is putting together a wonderful series, and we will try to make a list and send it out of all the different organizations. And I guess one of the last thing that I would say is that please do support organizations that support reparations. I feel that it's part of our collective duty to offer reparations for the injustice that Blacks and other colors have suffered as a result of white oppression. And so I guess well, the last thing I guess I did want to say is that we have an email address called events@barbarabrennan.com. So you can use that email for any feedback that maybe you didn't have a chance to share in this event, or for any future events you would like to see. And just be aware that I might not be able to personally respond to all of the emails that might come through that. So those are the steps, the action steps that we're taking as a school, and also shared personally.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
I would like to talk in a personal level as a teacher. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess that I'm going to be answering some of your questions as well, Patricia, from today. So to me, this series that we've been doing these few weeks, it's been helping me to explore and go deeper into myself and see where can I still be racist, or I would say in separation or feeling superior to someone just by the looks or by the whatever assumptions I can make in a quick second. And I found that I still, you know, still these moments happen, and still this, and not particularly with what we call Black people, but, you know, here and there with different people. And so, but I don't consider myself racist or anything like that. I consider myself a person that I really like diversity. I really like to know where everyone is from. I'm really curious about that. I know that you, Marion, are where you are from, because you are my student, yeah. And yeah, and I want to keep bringing my honesty, my truth, allowing the space to listen to each of you in class, and to keep teaching from the heart. Really, this is something that I love. And of course, the series have been helping me also to go back to my heart all the time, you know, and feel the compassion for myself when I'm in those places of not really seeing the other. And yeah, here I am. And yeah, I really feel the love for this community that we have, and I really feel the privilege of teaching here in our community. So I can keep being here, I can keep learning, and I can keep sharing myself. So that's it for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Would other faculty like to share?
Yes. Marianne, that question that Marianne had was a good question, because I think it starts with awareness. And just like we teach awareness about transference and projection, we can teach awareness about prejudice as well. And I venture to say that the average white person you talk to say, well, I'm not prejudiced, but it could be so ingrained in the fabric of their upbringing that they don't recognize it for what it is. And if we can teach people to track their transference, if we can teach people to track their projections, we can also teach people to track their prejudice and how it manifests in their lives. And I think that that example that Patricia Howard gave about voting with your dollars, and how you can make a difference in this in a small way, but it adds up when people come to a consensus about how we can better treat our fellow human. So I think that would be the one little piece that I would try to contribute, is a greater awareness of where you may have these ideas and you may call them preferences, but in reality, it is prejudice. And tracking that within ourselves. I know that it's created that in myself in this series. So that would be the thing that I think I would go go forward with this, an idea that if we can teach awareness of those other things, then we can teach awareness of this. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed.
And I'm
Lori?
gonna, oh, do I have to raise my hand?
Lori had her hand up.
Okay.
And then we can go with you, Deborah.
Okay.
Laura, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. Oof. Uh, 7 weeks ago, something happened in me, and I've cried more in this last 7 weeks than I probably have in the last 20 years. I've grown up in a pretty social activist family. And, you know, as I know some of you know who know me, I dedicated my teens to the civil rights movement, and that was in the mid-60s, late 60s. But the heartbreak for me has been in really twofold. One has been my own blindness over whatever the last 30 years. Like somehow or another, I leapt from civil rights to the spiritual work and really have missed something so deep. I mean, definitely a blind spot. And James Baldwin wrote, to be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious, you'd have to be in rage almost all the time. Representative John Lewis said good trouble, and for me within myself, good pain, because there's so much I have to deeply reconcile within myself in terms of everything and everyone I've missed. And I think a huge piece for me too with this is feeling that fear. I mean, that's the thing that broke open in me 7 weeks ago when I made a comment in a faculty meeting. And I got the visceral impact of that comment and how Black people, and I have young ones in my family who are Black and a nephew-in-law from Africa, and who I would give my life for. But that I could miss that. It's just broken my heart. And the other piece, and this is another blind spot in me, I have to say, it's in all the work I did in my teenage years, I missed the whole, my own complicity as a white person in America and my heritage, that contribution. I missed it. It was always out there. It was never in here. And I'm sorry for missing your pain. Deeply sorry. So I'm committed to doing my work. I trust that in myself. I have lived my life this way. I will do my work. And also how that's going to manifest as action in the world is unclear to me, and I know it will. And then just there's this truth in me that goes, and I've always felt this. I have felt this since I was a little child. Why do people hurt each other? Why can't we be one human family? So this is where I am. This is what I've learned. I'm eternally grateful. And I'll keep, blind spots are interesting. You know, they can be a shock, and then they can kind of, like I don't know, I'm experiencing such a deep process with this. So that's all I have to share at this time.
Thank you.
Deborah, did you want to go?
Sure. Thank you, Laurie. And I'm so grateful for all of the presenters and the knowledge and the beautiful perceptions that have been revealed in our last 6 weeks. And too many of them, I can't even bring them to mind, but they've been so impactful for me. And, you know, being the first year teaching is always meeting with, you know, who am I? And it's really opened this inquiry into myself of, you know, who am I in relationship to the world in this new conception, I would say, in this new racial open conception of equality. And I've been sitting with the grief, and I don't know where it comes from fully, whether it was something from another lifetime, if it's something from what I've witnessed as in my life as I've lived through the same with Lori, all the 60s and the racial. I actually witnessed the marches and the lynchings and what it brought up for me. So I feel in this moment of knowledge is power. And the new seed of knowledge that I've received has given me this opening. It's like a seed got planted, and an opening into a commitment to understand and to really open to who comes into my presence and how I can actually honor that person, who it is, whoever it is. And in actionable work, one of the things that just came up in my life was a mentoring and a hiring of a young Haitian boy who came here after the earthquake. And he just graduated from high school, and he is in my husband and my work. And I've just, in my ability to meet him in a new way, has been such an eye-opener. And I want to bring that beautiful listening and opening and asking more so I can learn. And I always feel the teachers learn more from the students in many ways. So that's one of the commitments in the first year that I want to really bring into practice. And another actionable piece was that I recently had some computer work done, and I had asked my computer doctor, who I see, what do I do with my old computer? I've been hanging on to it, and then my husband's old computer. We have this stash of computers. He said, why don't you bring them to me and I will fix them and send them back to Haiti to people who don't have a way to communicate and to have internet that we take for granted in a way. So I emailed a lot of my friends in the town, and we formed a group that began to collect all of these computers. And it's just one little thing, but I think it means the world to those who don't have that ability, and just to open the world that we can share together and learn from each other. And I'm still sitting in my grief and willing to look at all the pieces that have been brought forth, and I'm so grateful. So, and I'm willing to also, I just want to say, if there's something that you as a student notice, I always would value the feedback if there's something that wasn't said or given opportunities. So please, I'm willing to learn. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's two hands up. Dory is next, I guess.
Hi. Thank you for all of the sharings, and I appreciate so very deeply what the school is doing. I graduated in 2003, and I've learned how deeply connected I still am with my school. I see clients, and what I do is very much what I learned, my techniques, my calculations. I don't work on someone where I don't work up their body and in their systems. There was one week that Haruna shared what happened to his field in an elevator with a white woman. He pulls back the second chakra. And there was a week that teachers were addressing racism in people's energy fields, and to me that particular presentation was very vague, generic about the human energy field instead of what Haruna shared, which was very specific, what happens to a specific person's field. And I have found myself longing for more technical information. I grew up in a white space. I went to white schools. I went to white camps. I still live in a white area. I don't think I've ever worked as a healer with a Black person, which hurts. It's one of those things I'm learning about me. And as a healer, what's here now is what is worked with. What is this client in this moment? What is here? So I know me asking, so how do I work with racism in Black systems is a ridiculous question, and I need to deal with what's in front of me with the client. But I do long to know, like we teach technique, or at least 20 years ago, what we taught techniques in the school. Are there things to be aware of, because I'm a white woman from a white culture and I don't know? So what are the things to do to be more safe, to make my space less white? I'm aware of in their system that I haven't experienced and that all my white classmates at BBSH didn't have either. And I'm hoping that's clear, because while taking everybody in, I'm not as clear, maybe. That was my, well, Haruna had asked for the questions for the staff, and that was my question to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Melanie has her hand up.
Could respond a little bit to Dory. Since I was the person who gave the presentation, and yes, it was very vague. And I'm still deepening into that. First of all, being present in your own physical body and with an open heart, utilizing deep listening. When I first came to the school, I wanted to write a book on all of the healing protocols. And after that, I realized it's about being with each person individually, with what their experience was. And so, we have within our field the privilege of feeling safe a little more often. And so feel into what helps you to feel safe, and bringing that into your field. And then with deep listening, following your inner guidance on what's here now and what might be a healing response for what's here now. One of the things that I've really been sitting with is healing racial oppression starts within me. The white privilege that I have and coming to terms with it. When I say coming to terms, it's like opening my cone of perception, as Julie was talking about, like unraveling my idealized self-image, dismantling the parts of my false ego that are built on white privilege. Being willing to see myself with eyes clearly so that I can see the other clearly. And so in this work that we've been doing so far, I would start with myself first. And then we've learned from Barbara the vicious cycle, where we've had wounding experiences and how we keep repeating the same patterns. So taking a look at how am I perpetuating racial oppression? How can I break that vicious cycle that I keep taking steps towards? And then holding space for others to come into whatever they need for their healing awareness. Our job is not to fix people. Barbara was really clear about that. It was about holding a healing container for their beingness to keep showing up. And so I've taken up a lot of time, so I'm going to stop there for now. There will come a time where collectively, we're all going to be working with this, and there may be some deeper insights, but working with your own hara line, creating the intention not to perpetuate racial injustice and oppression is a great place to start. And holding that for others as they find their way. Thank you.
I'd like to add a little bit to what Kathy said. And yeah, I also wanted to reference what Julie Murray said earlier about expanding our cone of perception. Recognizing places we may have had blind spots and continuing to use witnessing, asking, experiencing. If Barbara taught anything, we teach a lot of skills, and I think the skills that we've taught, can really apply regardless of who the client is. But, it's like the map is not the territory. And right, we could give you a map and we could give you specific techniques for how to heal racism. I don't know, maybe we can't give that. But what Barbara taught was, interact with the field and see how it lands. See how the field responds. See how the human being in front of you responds. And, one thing that I've certainly taken away from this series is don't be afraid to have the conversation and ask the questions. How does this impact you? Right? How does this impact you as a Black person or whatever identity, a person might have? So observe and interact and let the field guide you, right? Let the energy field guide you. You know, those of you who are graduates, you know how to do that. And it's just adding in that thing of, oh, maybe I have a blind spot. Maybe there's something I don't know, right? And getting curious about that. And I'm actually, while I'm speaking, I'm going to go back to the earlier question about, like, what is this for me? How do I approach anti-racism and dismantling that within myself? You know, the other day we were in a faculty meeting, and I was talking about how I have this plan to, and I'm in conversation with the community garden, which is in South Los Angeles. And the community garden was created after the Rodney King incident. You know, and during the meeting, I used the language of the Rodney King riots. Why did I use that language? Why didn't I reference the beating of Rodney King, right? The garden was created in response to the beating of Rodney King. But somehow, right, through whether, you know, it's the media or whatever else, right, that's the language that's in circulation. It's about the riots. No, it's not about the riots. It's about the police brutality. And so I had that moment of waking up. Wait, why did I use that language? Right. And so it's this continual process of self-observation, witnessing, asking, experiencing. Today, you know, with Patricia referencing Harriet Tubman and that story, and, you know, the town I grew up in, the neighborhood I grew up in, there was a stop on the Underground Railroad. There was a house that my friend actually lived in, my classmate lived in, that was where boats would come in off the water, and they would stop at that house, and they would go, there was a tunnel that went, I couldn't believe how long this tunnel was, you know, under my neighborhood. But it went up to the manor house, and they would bring the freed slaves up there. And the thing that dawned on me today was there was not a single Black person living in that neighborhood. Right? So where'd they all go? Right? They were free, but right? There was nobody around me. And, you know, I could go through my whole life and not really think about that one thing, that nobody Black lived in my neighborhood, even though, right, this was a place, and, you know, we got to tell ourselves the story, right? We lived in the North, and we were good. So it's that kind of just constantly looking at it and re-exploring it. You know, there is, within the faculty, we have a committee that's being formed to continue to track this issue and try and keep us on track with the goals that, you know, Lisa has spoken about, and, you know, and to continue to be in conversation. It's also a part of the questionnaire is deeper listening to the community and what's needed. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Melanie Roche has her hand up.
Thank you, Randall. Thanks, Patricia, for how graciously and gently you've held the calls. Thank you, Haruna, for your honest feeling and sharing your experience and your embodiment. Thank you, Ada. Thank you, Ladine. I have a lot to say, and I feel nervous because I don't feel articulate about it yet, so I ask for everyone's patience. Thank you, Lisa Van Ostrin, for offering us this. It's tremendous. 4 things I want to say. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, which was the first
northern city. If a slave running away made it across the Ohio River, they would not be sent back, but getting across that river is nearly impossible. And I grew up there in 1970 was when we moved there. So I was age 6, and the city had not integrated the schools, despite Brown versus the Board of Education. So for me as a first grader, the NAACP sued the city to integrate the schools. And so I went to one of the first magnet schools. And so it was utopian and integrated by choice. And it affected me so much. There was such a feeling of hope. And at the same time, there were whole neighborhoods that were burned out from the protests in, I believe, 1968 after Watts and Detroit. And one of my earliest memories was, you know, sitting in the back seat of my mother's car, going on and on and on and on for 10 minutes or so of everything burned, just everything burned. And so having friends who were African American and having this feeling of the world is going to be better, and then feeling now like nothing has been accomplished has been heartbreaking for me as well. And when you ask Patricia about systemic racism, for me, that's it right there. It permeated every aspect of life. It permeated how our friendships happened or didn't happen. I realize it has affected jobs that I've taken where my bosses have been African American, and hearing their experiences and feeling like, you know, why did they hire me? Why did they hire me to run this program for minority high school students who want to be doctors at NYU Medical School? You know, why did they hire this white woman from Ohio? You know, all kinds of experiences like that. So that's sort of my background. So systemic racism, I feel like, has permeated every aspect of life, and yet I haven't ever named it as such. So that's one point. How will I, as a healer, counteract racial oppression? So I want to thank Ladine and I want to thank Shalamaya, because and Stacy, who spoke last week. I feel like what you guys are modeling for me is how to name what's happening, the tracking inside yourself, name that, and then use it to make political change. Use it to take action in the moment and speak truth. And I not only didn't think to do that, but I had a split in myself, which I think is what Lori Keene was speaking about, where I chose at age 18 no longer to be politically active. For me, it had to do with protests happening in Israel, Israelis behaving what I feel is abominably. I didn't want to be a part of it. And saying, no, I'm going to focus only on inner transformation. So that split happened in me, and the idea that now it is time to bring it together, because, and this is my fourth point, and it speaks to what you were expressing, Haruna, our bodies, or the experience that Black people are going through in the body. Patricia, you spoke to this describing your book and your healing experience of past life on the ship. That sense of in the body, what is happening, and how, hold on, let me come back in. When I see a foot on Mr. Floyd's neck, killing him, when I see the photograph of Gordon, whose name I looked up after Kai showed us those pictures, and I learned his story, how he escaped twice, how he was in bed for 2.5 months after that beating that we saw the photograph of. when we start to realize that it's happening in the body and it's obvious, but that's no longer, it never was acceptable, but it's not acceptable. And so we need to do what Ladine modeled. We need to do what Shalamaya just modeled. Name what's happening inside the body for ourselves and in our clients, and then ask about it, as Jonathan just said. And so I have a client right now from Jamaica who is Black and what would be the right term? Code switching, that she's very successful in the white corporate world and hates it. So as we explore that and her upbringing and how her grandmother kept her down because of her own oppression, and how she is catching herself keeping down her niece and trying to stop doing that, for me to respectfully ask questions and say, please tell me more about this. Please share with me what this is like for you. And then now I start to name, okay, this sounds like racism. Okay, and so she's speaking more freely to me, it feels like, as I ask more honestly. And with my white clients, who I have one guy who suddenly after 10 years, he's expressing all this racism that I never knew he had in him. I think I've just lost him as a client, but I'm naming it. It's like I'm poking the beehive by saying, you sound really scared, and it sounds like a racist set of beliefs. So I don't know that I'm doing it right, but at least I'm naming it, and at least I'm starting to work with it energetically to the best of my ability. And I would really love if we could learn how to work with it epigenetically in the way, Patricia, I think you're talking about it in your book. I want to learn how that trauma doesn't need to be held cellularly and passed on, and in myself as well, and to the best of my ability to facilitate that in other people. I think that's all. Haruna, I thank you for your honesty about what you feel in your body as you are subjected to a bombardment of racism every day. Ladine, I thank you for modeling how to track inside, oh, I caught myself thinking I don't have the authority, and so I'm going to call out, I have the authority, and I'm going to name it. I thank you for that, because for me, this is the bridge between political action and our embodiment on a personal level. I don't think I'm expressing this very well, but I hope you guys are getting the sense of unity that I think is being called forth now. At least for me, that's what I want to do. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I keep losing internet, so I'm on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, I'd like to share. I'm sorry you can't see me, but I'm in the middle of a hurricane, so I don't want to lose you guys. This is Liana. I'm coming from Western Massachusetts. I graduated in 2016. And I've wanted to speak up for a while, and it's a little scary, but part of the process. And I guess the reason why I haven't spoken up is because I have this like rigid overlay of wanting to be like perfect or obey all the rules, and sometimes I have answers instead of questions, or but so I'm speaking up now to share and to, I guess, there are some aspects in my life that I am perplexed by and wanting to speak them now, and at some point I welcome feedback. I know this forum is, for me at least, like not ideal. I really wish that we were all physically together and able to see each other and touch each other and help each other. So my best friend, I went to Waldorf school, and my best friend from third grade, she came in third grade, and her ancestry is Cape Verdean and Portuguese, and she lives nearby, and she shared with me like the same stories, and I listen and I say, yes, that was messed up. So she got called on by the teachers, and she was the one who got punished in a way, even though the antagonist was a white woman. And I guess since my friend keeps bringing this up, I feel like I want to do more. I feel like I'm not doing enough to hear her, and I want to be there for her, and maybe I wasn't there for her, and maybe that's an aspect of it. So that's one of the relationships. I don't have an active healer process. I kind of feel like I've regressed in my own healing path, and very grateful for this 6-week series that I want to continue on in some way. I love this conversation of social justice and healing, and I've been passionate about it for my entire life as far as I can remember. And then an old friend who just came back into my life has a lot of trauma, both physical, emotional, psychological, mental. And I want to heal him, and I told him that. And I've had this come up in relationships before where I just want to heal the partner. So I just want to name that, because it's like I have like lots of love to give, and so like a part of me is like, oh, I love this energy of like wanting to help and seeing all the ways in which I can help, and then also just keenly aware of the white savior complex. And I guess I want to tease it apart more, and I remember in this one of these series, it was a few weeks ago, I really wanted to speak up and I didn't. And this is a pattern, is that I don't see myself as a leader, or I don't see myself as perfect enough, or so I hold back, and my reflection, it was from, it was the moment when Haruna was saying, he said, I was supposed to do a meditation, and I don't want to wrap a bow on this series. I want us to sit in the discomfort. And I realized, like, I could have stepped up and said what I wanted to say, in which I hear the Black people of this country, and in a way all over the world, but specifically in the United States, that you're tired, and I wanted to speak up my commitment to be an anti-racist ally all the time, and that I am committed 110%, and I know that it's the long haul. And even though I became aware of these issues, there's so many layers to it, and I've been able to not beat myself up because I know it's the long haul, and I'm really grateful for this series and for these uprisings, and wanting to do my own work and hatching lots of plans, and working with people and bringing up racism and white privilege with my friends, and just talking about it and not seeing it as a separate issue, in that all of us need to, but especially I think there's a dearth of white people talking about it in general, because we have that privilege to ignore it. And I see that changing, and I'm part of the change, and I just am excited to come back to our humanity and not see ourselves as separate. And thank you for letting me have the floor. And yeah, I hope to stay connected with everyone. And thank you everyone for who you shared. I waved. It's nice to see you and hear from you. And I don't know how to mute myself, so somebody can mute me because I'm done.
Thank you.
Hermeligen? I'm not saying that correctly.
Hermelane.
Hermelane.
Yes, Hermelane. That's right. So can you hear me? My internet connection is very unstable.
Yes.
Good. So I really don't know what to say, but I still wanted to share something to let you know that I'm here and I've been listening, and that it has stirred my system. And so the series has really invited me to step again into a new space where I can broaden my perspective and well, see how I can contribute in switching this paradigm. And I noticed that my heart has been hurting like for the last hour. So what I particularly noticed, I guess, over the last weeks is that I've been raised in a quite mixed environment, but now the last years I've been living in a very white bubble. So I've been missing that diversity and other people. And so I am now trying to, well, reach out and see where the people are that are different from me. So, because I really like these other flavors. And it can be very lonely sometimes in this white space. And Ladine was last week speaking about that, about or at least that's what you were saying. And I thought, no, in my where I came from, it's only I. So there was a lot, like not a lot of community, not a lot of spirituality, not a lot of Holland, where I live, is very flat. So sometimes it feels like that, very flat. Also spiritually flat. And at the same time, we have a lot of space then to invite, or because our culture can be quite, I think, then it's not so interesting. So then we open up to something else. At least that's what I like. Yeah. So I don't know where I will go from here, but it's definitely something I take with me, and I'm very grateful for it. All your contributions and filling in blanks and helping me to, well, to get inspired again. I guess that's it. I got inspired again to be something else. So thank you very much for all your honesty and hard work. And yeah, I'll see where it takes me, because I don't know yet what it will look like. But I definitely, when I am with people, not only in my practice, but maybe with larger groups of people, I will be able to say different things and be more well, be less flat and more inclusive, or more depth. Again, more depth. So thank you very much for your honesty and showing me other ways. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have time for one more.
Got one more?
One more.
Smadar.
Okay, my heart is beating right now. I didn't want to share. I didn't want to, but then in the middle I wanted, and then I didn't. It's like I'm in school, just finished 3 years, still working on my own fears. And then when I hear everybody's talking, especially some part of like being Israeli, being in a minority myself in a way, and I don't want to take away from, but I know what it is, the fear, walking with fear. And moving from a place that I was kind of a majority, I moved to here. I realized I live with fear myself of, oh, I have an accent. I need to be quiet in certain places. Oh, I can't talk because they'll know I'm different. But what wakes me up to this conversation, especially Aruna, you in the first session, when you described what you have to go with cameras, I said, oh my God, I at least, appearance, I look white, so I can be safe. So if I don't open my mouth, or if I don't say what I think, or if I don't show where I am from or whatever, I'm safe. Like the picture says, no, you have fear all the time. And I live with fear on a personal level, or maybe on, I've been told that I live with fear from my ancestors. I don't know, knowing that the Holocaust was just a little bit a while ago, and I have this in me, this fear of somebody wants to kill me all the time. This is the fear I go with. But I am safe when I go on the street. I enjoy the white privilege. I enjoy it. So listening to you, it's like all I wanted to do is I missed 2 times, and I'm so sorry I missed them. And I'm shaking. It's like all I wanted is to listen, to know more, to know what you're going through. And then to know that everybody, and people are walking with fears about either it's a personal or their history or their where they come from or their color or their, and as Laurie said, why are we all, it's like why are we hurting each other? It's like, why can't it stop? And it's not about politics, because we always bring politics to it, and then people are taking sides, and then I need to know what side am I in, and I don't know what side because this one is right and this one is right, but it's the pain. And now as I'm listening today, I realize it's like the moment I think about Israeli or about Jewish or about something, I felt defensive. I felt like I need to, like, what did they say? What did I need to, how do I protect myself? And then I listen to my body. I says, relax, it's okay. So I don't know what I'm bringing. It's like, as a healer, and I'm not practicing that much as a healership, but I know when I'm doing healing, what brings me to be a healer and to leave my story behind is to see the person on the table as like a little baby that has no, well, yes, we do bring the history and the karma, and yes, we do have it, but like the baby, like not no history, nothing. It's clean. It's a clean, and then this is where the love can come the most, with no judgment, with no fear of my own fear of how I'm not protected. So if we can all go to understand where our fear is coming from the other, because I think it's coming from the fear of somebody is not the same as us. So we need to protect ourselves. And this is where we need to go deeper and be open. And I don't know, it's just open more. I just needed to know, I needed to hear more, but to hear the people, not just the story, but to hear the experiences. So I get it. So I feel it. So I can, this is where I can change from my own things that I'm doing without even wanting to hurt, but I probably do. I am. There are things that it's inbred in me, and I need to own it. That's it.
Thank you.
So Patricia and Ada, I noticed that there are questions for us in the chat. I don't know if you looked at them and if you want to address it, or we can move on. I think the question is, how do we feel now at the end of the forum?
It's actually specifically addressed to Ada, Haruna, and Patricia. Thank you.
Okay, well, I would like to just speak. I feel that anytime you're involved in something this personal, that things gonna get stirred up. Even though you live this all the time, you have a way in order to live and not drowned in the situation. For me, I have to not walk around with it present in my presence all the time, because then it takes me out of that place within myself where I get my instructions in order to navigate through life and be the person I need to be for myself, my family, and those that come in front of me. So when you do something like this, like anything else, all of those things are going to come to the surface. And it's no different from anyone out there. There's the pain, there's a discomfort. And everything is like when they were talking about the Underground Railroad. I live in the place that's the end of the Underground Railroad before people went over into Canada. So when those things get woke up, there is the pain. But in order to change anything, sometimes you got to go through the pain to get to the other side. So I had questions. Should I do this? Should I be a part of this? But unless I'm a part of it, I'm not doing what I need to do for those that's coming behind me. You know, I had grandchildren, great-grandchildren, which are 12 and 8, that were here with me last week. And I walked into their room and discovered they were angry. So I wanted to know what they were angry about. They were angry at the president of this United States. They were angry because he said they have to go to school. And they have as much concern about this virus and what have you as anyone else. And they say he's messing with TikTok. And if we're gonna be locked in, we need something. Now these are children. So if I fold, then my children will not get the information they need to navigate through this world. So that's why you don't see me wallowing and crying, even though I may desire to do that. That has never changed anything for me. I have to keep clear and see and feel the directions from my higher self that lives within me. So yes, it gets stirred up, but if I don't do anything, see, I was in the 60s also. I was with the Freedom Riders and all of those things. So when I have to be involved in something like this, it's gonna wake it all up. And it's about me. It's about my emotions, my feeling inequality, because no one unless you forget it. And that's the key. That's why we are doing what we do. Because each time we're going to change something. Something has to be changed. And any time you feel that pain, it reminds you to keep going. Okay? So, and thank you for asking.
Ada, thank you. You know, my intention when I started this was to give you the information. It's so important to have knowledge. I just remember how transforming it was for me to come to this school and to learn about the spirit world and to learn so much more about myself. And I haven't been the same since. And you know, I think information is good. And I wanted to give you the information so that you could be stirred and so that life could not return to normal and that you'd have to go out and change the world. So I think my task is over. I've given you the information, and my hope is that you will take it further and that you will do great things with it.
Thank you for Patricia and Ada. I appreciate you guys so much. Ladine, you're special. Thank you for coming back and agreeing to be a part of this.
Good thing we got strong barriers.
My favorite part of this journey for the past, I guess, 7 weeks for Patricia and myself is our weekly meetings. Patricia and I get together for about 2.5, 3 hours. We talk about the next episode and what we want to do and how we want to set it up and just have conversations. It's like we've known each other forever. We just became really fast friends. We don't always agree, but we work it out and we listen to each other. I don't know how I feel about the series. I don't know how I feel right now. It's been painful. Parts have been fun. If I really am honest, I want to say I'm probably not going to be a part of the second series. I really have to sit with it and feel into my guidance. So speaking of guidance, today was one of those days where it started out great and then there were some interruptions. I lost power for a while, and when I was calling in to get things turned back on, they couldn't find me. They couldn't find me in the system. So I spent part of the day working on that issue. So I didn't know if I would have to sit in my car or go someplace in order to connect for this call. So about 30 minutes before the call, I just got on my hands and knees and I said a little prayer. I actually asked for help. And if those of you who know me, that's hard for me. So I asked for help and I got up and I felt great. I just knew everything was going to be okay. So I made one last phone call, one last attempt, and someone answered. And that person was able to find me. That person was able to take her time and listen and ask me questions and be with me. Her name is Miss Johnson. And as I was leaving, I saw the time and I told her, hey, I have to get online. And it was about 5 minutes before the call. She said, oh, don't worry. I'm going to do everything I can to help you. I said, okay. So Al, as we were leaving, I said, you know, Miss Johnson, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you. And in the moment, the lights came on. It's like, okay, this is meant to be. I'm meant to be here. I'm going through an initiation, a long one, fucking painful one. And I feel great. Can't explain that part. I feel great about that. So I know that what I experienced throughout my life pales in comparison to the people who lost their lives and pales in comparison to Ada's experiences. It was for this moment. I could be here with you. And if hearing my story or our stories prompts you to take action, even if it's one or two of you, then it was worth it. I love this work. It's changed me a lot. It's connected me with great people. And I'm reconnecting with people I haven't seen in years. And that's fun. So what I like to do is call in the ancestors. So I invite all teachers to hold Hara, be present. I am Haruna, son of Lansana, son of Valencia, grandson of Inadi, grandson of Kuman, grandson of Dorothy of Cherokee Nation, grandson of Amos from Creek Nation. My Hopi name is Wise Wolf. I sit with the Lakota people and the Seminole people I sit with the Bobcat clan and the Panther clan. We hold ceremony and prayer for each other, for the world. I invite all of those ancestors to be with us today. I invite you to invite in your ancestors. Those who have walked this journey, holding racism, and the victims of racism. Let us come together for healing. Let us come together and form the sacred human heart that Barbara Brennan is known for. Imagine that heart in front of you. Find your intention for what it is that you would like to create from this day forward. And as you find that intention, you're at the top of the heart, not the point, where the heart goes in. You speak your intention and cross over into the threshold and find your place in the center of the heart. So we do this all together, holding Hara and core essence. Speak your intention and cross the threshold. Whenever you're ready, you can unmute yourselves so that we can all hear and bear witness to your intentions.
Commit to opening and listening to the truth of
Kindness.
existence.
Service.
With love.
To be the justice. Carregar comida
That's to be of service.
I love
Each
the
person
Lord, my
in their
God,
wholeness,
with all of my
idiot
To
heart.
all
essence,
people,
all
everywhere.
to fully embrace each
My intention is
Bringing and bubbling
in all unity
to
and
bring social
equality,
justice
expression.
to be heard in
so
the
that we return to the one unified state,
To white supremacy. Keep bringing in healing
to be
lives
fully
and
present.
moves within me. Bring healing.
I'm seeing it's the end of the thing.
Interactions.
Mute yourselves when you're
guided by my
finished with your
spirit.
intentions. Mute yourselves again.
To develop curriculum
The churches acknowledge
that reflects
the complicity
the world
of racism.
and helps us to learn
To begin to heal
about ethnic and cultural differences so we can walk with each other.
breathe the life.
I will carry your intentions in my Hara and my core star. So when I come into contact with others, they can feel the collective intentions that radiate from you through me to the other. Aho mitakuyasen to all my family. Thank you. So I'd like to invite my elder, Ada, to send us all off.
Ada, unmute yourself.
I'm just praying for everybody in the group. And my suggestion is you just open your hearts and allow yourself to receive from within. Father, Mother God, I'm asking you this day to lead each person in the direction they need to go to carry out your instructions. I ask that you allow each person under the sound of my voice to feel and hear your guidance and directions. I thank you for allowing them to see and feel your presence in their life, in their world, in their affairs. I thank you for blessing this institution, this organization, this school, where the individuals, bless the individuals that covet this institution, giving them the ideas that they need to carry forth, to lift up all of those that come before them. Be able to carry out and open their hearts and shower those that come before them with love. It comes through the energy field. And I thank you for going before them, making their way easy and successful, for watching over each and every one of them, for taking the leaders of this school and infusing what they need to do to carry forth, to feed your children and teach them how to open and receive. And I thank you for every one of those individuals out there that have poured into my life and many of the people that came before and after. And I thank you for solidifying this family to carry out your mighty work. And I thank you for all of these blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 So be
Amen.
so it is.
Amen.
Amen.
Oh, amen.
Amen.
Amen.